Hey guys, and welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us as always is Jon Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you from right here at the Collider Video Studios here in Burbank, California, and we are so glad you decided to make us part of your day.
Also here, Jon Schnepp.
Does Captain Morgan have a theme song? Because I was just, do you guys know if he has a... Flash! Yeah. Morgan coming to drink you.
He gets more drunk than every one of us.
I would like that song.
Also here, Mark Ellis.
I don't know if Captain Morgan has a theme song, but I do know that Coors Light has a theme song, Twins.
Is that
Remember the Twins?
What?
Remember the older... And Twins? Remember that in like the early 2000s?
But I've learned never to question the knowledge of Mark Ellis when it comes to beer history.
Bam!
Especially
Never
Coors
question it.
Light.
Especially Coors Light.
What year was Coors Light founded? 1979. You guessed it, kids.
All right. A few weeks ago, it was being reported that Mission Impossible Rogue Nation director and co-writer Christopher McQuarrie was in talks to helm the upcoming Mission Impossible 6. Now McQuarrie has taken to Twitter to announce he has agreed to direct the next installment of the Tom Cruise franchise when he tweeted, "Mission accepted." Mission Impossible 5 took in over $682 million at the worldwide box office. Schnepp, was it the right move for Paramount to bring McQuarrie back for MI6?
Most definitely. I mean, that's that music to my ears. Mission accepted. I accept that he accepted it. I can't wait
I accept
to
that
see.
he accepted
yeah,
it.
I cannot wait to see the sixth one with Tom Cruise and him back and directing it and writing it. So I have to say, Rogue Nation blew me away. It was my top #1 spy movie of the entire year. Better than Spectre, better than Spy, better than Uncle, all these other these pale comparisons. Nothing was better than Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. I can't even believe I'm saying that. Mission Impossible 5 was better than all the previous 4 Mission Impossibles. So to keep this team together is a no-brainer, and I'm happy that they were able to make it work.
Yeah, this is great news. This is absolutely fabulous news because not only has he just done a great job with Mission Impossible 5, we've talked about this on the show before. The relationship between him and Tom Cruise, when these guys work together, good things happen. Mm-hmm. He has either written or directed Mission Impossible 5, Jack Reacher, which some people don't like, but I really do enjoy it. I think Tom Cruise's most underappreciated film, Valkyrie. Now he's going to be doing this as well. This is just fantastic news. Now, when we heard reports about a month ago that McQuarrie was going to be in talks to do it, I think for most of us it hit us as, of course he's going to be in talks to do it. You got to get this guy back. But as the days progressed and we didn't hear confirmation, I was starting to worry that because of the success of MI5, that a lot of other studios will come courting. Now, I had heard as well that Marvel went knocking on Christopher McQuarrie's door. Now, then I heard that. We still hadn't heard confirmation about MI6. I started to get worried, but I'm very glad that he's coming back because I think Tom Cruise right now is at his best when he's working with him. And so I think this is just fantastic news for anybody who appreciated MI5. Mark?
I love when we kick off movie talk with stories like this because we're all just happy. It's not like, oh, is Fantastic Four 2 going to get made? No, I don't really care. This one is great news. But we're all assuming that he's actually talking about Mission Impossible 6 here. Well, like, he just tweeted Mission Accepted. That could be a good bowel movement. We don't know what exactly he's talking about, but we assume so because he's Christopher McQuarrie and they had such great results with the last movie. I will say this, is that every new Mission Impossible movie has had a new director. And usually it works pretty well because they infuse a fresh sense of energy into the films. I don't fear that with 6. I don't fear that 6 is getting stale because Tom Cruise is the guy that's a star and he's probably a producer and he has a lot going on 6. Even more so than Jack Reacher 2, which I didn't love Jack Reacher at all. I really did not like that movie. I was very let down.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
But I'm still happy that he's doing Jack Reacher 2 because I like Tom Cruise in an action role. And Mission Impossible 6, you're right, Schnepp. It was the best spy movie this year. Sorry, Kingsman. You gave a hell of an effort, but MI5 was the best, and I think MI6 is going to be right up there.
And I would have been totally cool, too, if they had come out and he said, look, I'm not going to direct it, because like you said, every MI movie has had a different director. If they came out and he just said, look, I'm going to write this one, because he is going to co-write number 6. If they just said that, I still would have been happy. And I'm the type of guy that I don't like one director staying on one property for too long. But as long as they mix it up, I maybe wouldn't want him to come back for 7 because I want him to stay fresh and keep the thing fresh. But I think 2 in a row, perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you didn't like Werner Herzog and Jack Reacher? Come on, guys.
I love Werner Herzog and Jack Reacher. All right, what's next?
On yesterday's Movie Talk, we discussed how Zoolander 2 set a new record for comedy trailers with over 52 million views in its first week. Now, another trailer record has been set, with Disney announcing their new Captain America Civil War trailer had 64 million views in just its first 24 hours. That destroys Marvel's previous record of Avengers Age of Ultron, which had 31 million views in its first 24 hours. John, is this a significant milestone for the Marvel trailer?
It is massively significant, and here's why. At least why I think this is. The previous record, as mentioned, was Avengers Age of Ultron for Marvel, their number one trailer released in 24 hours with 31 million views, right? Now, a lot of people are like me, really enjoyed Avengers Age of Ultron. Not as good as the first Avengers, clearly, but I still thought a very enjoyable film. Some people really didn't like it, and that's okay too. But what I think with this trailer coming out, and it doubling the amount of people who rushed out to watch the Avengers Age of Ultron trailer, that tells me this, that despite how many people may say they did not like Avengers Age of Ultron, the interest in Marvel has never been hotter. The interest in Marvel films has never been at a more fever pitch. When the new trailer comes out and 60 plus million people rush out to see it in the first 24 hours, that gives us a little bit of a barometer test right now on where movie fans' interests are right now, and it's still red hot for Marvel. But let's put this in context. This is Marvel's brand new record for opening 24 hours. Crushed their previous record of 31 million, 60 some odd million in one day. The last Star Wars trailer, 28 million. Oh, no, sorry. 128 million in one day. Let's put that in context, right? So much for their Hunger Games being the most anticipated movie of the year. But anyway, yeah, I do think these numbers for Captain America Civil War are very significant for those reasons and probably several others. Mark, you saw these numbers. What do you think
But
about
the Civil War trailer actually went in with a handicap that Star Wars didn't, because nobody had seen the Star Wars trailer until it debuted online. A lot of people watched the Civil War trailer on TV, and then it was available on YouTube afterwards. So this is great news, because people saw it somewhere else and then wanted to go see it again and again. And whatever you might think about Age of Ultron, it was still a really good movie in my opinion. And I think the backlash has been unfair simply because it wasn't as great or as novel as the first Avengers movie. This is awesome news. Now, I won't say that it's that significant, however, because they're just starting to keep track of this. And like I said yesterday with the Zoolander trailer, this is not, Cal Ripken's consecutive games record, okay? This thing is going to be smashed a number of times. What's going to be really fun is to see what Batman v Superman does in YouTube views, because DC can't wait until Thursday to count those numbers after it debuts on TV Wednesday night.
And another Batman v Superman trailer is coming, but we'll talk about that a little bit later, Schnepp.
Yeah, what's up? The Kimmel gets all these trailers. What's going on, Kimmel? You sold your soul to the devil or something?
Jimmy Kimmel has more trailers than all of Arkansas combined.
Consecutive back-to-back trailers. Yeah. I think one of the reasons Captain America had such a big hit, even though it debuted on TV, is because it was such a well-made trailer.
So good.
So word of mouth, the buzz around it was like, you haven't seen this trailer, you've got to see it. That kind of thing just went all around virally the entire day. Really well put together, and it's Captain America. Everybody loved the Winter Soldier, as far as I know. Anyone who didn't love it, you're insane. So this is the third Captain America. Russo brothers behind it. I'm really excited about it, and I'm glad that everyone else is on the planet, it seems like. So.
All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show now for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down, and then those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
For years now, Morgan Creek has been trying to get a biopic of Tupac Shakur off the ground with little success. Up to now, directors such as Carl Franklin, John Singleton, and Antoine Fuqua all boarded the project at one time or another, and all eventually dropped out, with Singleton himself saying the people involved aren't really respectful of the legacy of Tupac. Time is now running out, as Morgan Creek will lose the rights to Tupac's music if a film isn't in production by the end of the year. Now it's being reported that Morgan Creek is looking at signing music video director Benny Boom to get the process moving. Mark, at this stage in the game, buy or sell that Morgan Creek will get a Tupac movie in production by the end of the month?
Well, unfortunately, I am going to buy this because I think they're so dedicated to making something with Tupac's music, and if they have to do that by the end of the year, I think it's going to happen. Not the way I want to see it, and clearly not the way John Singleton saw it. I trust John Singleton a lot more than most people in Hollywood. I mean, he is way up there because he's very He cares about the material he's making, and he treats it with care. I don't know who Benny Boom is. I'm sure he's made great music videos, but I don't want to see this particular. I don't want to see a rushed Tupac biopic. I want to see it taken the care that it deserves, and I don't think it's the way it's going, but I do think it'll be in production.
Schnepp?
Yeah, I'm guessing it will be in production. Especially if it's a rights issue. Like, you have to have, like, started filming the very first scene on December 15th. They're going to shoot something. Whether they use it in the film or not, the principal photography has started on the Tupac, biography. They're going to do that and then resume working on the script in January. It's one of those things where it's like you just have to show that you've started production, and then you can chill out for a year. They could switch directors if they have to. I'm sure, like you said, I'm not familiar with Benny Boom's, discography or his work as a videography. But I'm sure it's good enough to put him in the running along with Singleton and Franklin, all these other big heavies. So I just don't want them to use the Tupac 3D hologram in the movie. That's all I'm asking. Don't use that.
Along co-starring CGI Yoda.
Yeah,
right beside him, apparently.
Move.
I mean, look. Here's the thing. A Tupac Shakur movie has to happen. And if it didn't already have to happen, and has had to happen for a long time, then Straight Outta Compton just puts an exclamation point on it that you need to make this movie. You have to make this movie. But it says something unfortunate when you go from having directors of the caliber of a John Singleton attached to an Antoine Fuqua attached, and both of them leave, and now you go to Benny Boom, who's never directed a feature film before, with the clock running out. Now remember, there was another famous music biopic that tried to go ahead without the music rights to the artist, and that is All Is By My Side from 2013, based on Jimi Hendrix. Who went to go see that movie? You hear that sound? Yeah. Crickets. Nobody went to go see that movie. You've got to have the music rights involved. So Schnepp, I think you just nailed it completely. What's going to happen here? I think they're going to sign on Benny Boom. I think now, I can't say too much about it, but I just met with a producer not too long ago where they were in the exact same situation. They have the rights to this particular property, but there was no way in hell they could get it in production by the time their rights were going to lapse. So they just hired everybody for 3 days to get together. Then they were going to take 6 months off. And then they're going to come back when they were ready. What I think could happen here is they could bring in this dude, Benny Boom, get 3 days of shooting done under Benny Boom, and then they can go out and get the director they want.
Right.
To come in and change that up a bit. So I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. I, however, am going to sell that they'll do it in time. I think that's their goal. I think that's what they're going to try to do. I hope they pull it off, but I got a feeling they're not going to pull it off.
Got a couple weeks.
They have only got a couple of weeks. And then you can't, if you don't meet that deadline, you can't go ahead and make this movie without the actual music. You just can't do it. But I don't know. Can you guys see them doing a Tupac biography with a biopic without using the music?
I could actually see that more so than the Jimi Hendrix movie, which actually came out. Like, there's certain artists that have such an interesting life that you don't need to focus just on the music. And Hendrix had a very interesting life, but you need the music in there. With Tupac, I don't think it's as important. There's been movies about the Beatles that have been made where you don't necessarily put the music front and center. I mean, obviously you want the music in there somewhere, but a movie like Backbeat didn't have a lot of Beatles stuff in there. It had some, but you didn't need it to tell that story, and it was still a very interesting film. So you could do it. I just want it done properly.
I think it would be a disservice to Tupac's memory, because a lot of his skill at just freestyling was just getting in there and just freestyling rhymes and just talk rhyming, and that's kind of it. That's his music. And so I wouldn't want to not be able to see that, or the creative process of that. Like every time he gets into the recording booth, they cut to something else. That'd be like Godzilla, guys, right? And they cut to something when you want to see that, and then they cut away to a small kid on a couch. That's not the kind of movie that I want to see. I'm not comparing Tupac to Godzilla, but I just did.
I am.
If they do it that way.
I also want to see a Godzilla biopic done right. I mean, we owe that lizard the respect he deserves.
He does deserve some
But do
respect.
you get the music rights to Godzilla? That's the question.
I think Toho Studios has a dun-dun-dun-dun. Dun-dun-dun-dun. That sounds like the Munsters. I'm doing a bad job.
and I
I'm
hear-
firing myself.
I hear Godzuki is available right now.
And
So make this-
Godzuki.
Okay, sorry, people are waiting for us to move on. Let's move on. What's
No,
next?
let's stay here. Why do we have to move on? All right.
Yesterday, a new spot for the highly anticipated Batman vs. Superman hit the web, showing Batman/Bruce Wayne in chains as a prisoner of Superman and his soldiers. The spot culminates in Superman tearing off Batman's cowl and the two staring off at one another. It's been reported that a new full trailer for Batman vs. Superman will arrive on Wednesday. Schnepp, buy or sell this new spot for Batman vs. Superman?
I fully buy this teaser. I sell that Jimmy Kimmel keeps getting these trailers, but we're talking about that later. No, this teaser was so fantastic, and it's the polar opposite of everything that Captain America: Civil War was. This was all about nobody talking, all about tone, like almost like a nightmare dream sequence. Like, I don't know what this was, but I really liked it. I love that they had the guts to put a 50-second scene with just Batman and Superman facing off one another. And literally the reveal of Bruce Wayne, and I don't know why Superman's so pissed. I bet he has a good reason, but I love this trailer. I think it was fantastic.
Kryptonite elbow to the balls. Mark, what did you think about this thing?
I mean, who knew that Superman loved Silence of the Lambs so much he'd become Buffalo Bill in this trailer? I loved watching this though, and it was odd because it seems like that would have made more sense and maybe even had more impact if they released this scene before they released that other trailer, because that other trailer had so much action. You saw everybody was in the movie, and now you just get this like quiet, very powerful scene, and so the timing of it is a little weird to me, but the way that it played out, it's everything that I want to see from this movie, especially watching those two characters square off. It's maybe the first time, but definitely not the last time they're going to meet in the movie.
Yeah, bye. Now, I've said for a long time, and I still totally believe this, they said this movie was going to be influenced heavily by The Dark Knight Returns, but I said as soon as we read that first synopsis, I said, you know what, this is going to be just as influenced, I believe personally, by Injustice Gods Among Us. And when now, it won't be Injustice Gods Among Us, but I think you're going to see influences of that in this film. And do you remember in that first trailer, one of the things that I freaked out the most about in that first trailer is when you hear Alfred go, "It turns good men cruel." And it's that one shot of Ben Affleck's head just staring and like the rage while trying to look. And I said, it is amazing how much acting he is just doing with his face in that scene. This scene reminds me a lot of that, because when Superman tears that cowl off, the look that Bruce gives him, the way Affleck uses nothing but his facial gestures, I think was insanely powerful. Like, that is what made the scene to me. Now, I also feel this way. You might disagree. Tell me what you think. I think this is a dream sequence. I think this is a nightmare sequence. I think this is a part of Bruce Wayne's nightmare, because I really hope. Now, it depends on the content. This might not be nightmare, and they might put it in a context that really kicks ass. But my initial feeling is like, it better be a dream, because don't tell me some little Superman sidekick bitches were able to take down Bruce Wayne, Batman, and chain him up and just wait there for Superman to show up. Because that would make how's he supposed to fight Superman if he can't even take out his little sidekick dudes that are there helping him out? But who knows? Maybe it'll be great context. Doesn't matter. This 49 seconds was 49 seconds of glory. I loved it. And the fact that a new trailer is coming Wednesday, I'm almost trembling. I'm so excited, because if this is a taste of the main course to come, then this is good stuff.
That dream sequence call is amazing. That is all of a sudden my odds-on favorite for what that sequence was, because you're trying to fit it into the context of not just the movie, what we saw in the first trailer. Maybe the trailer we see Wednesday night will shed some light on where this scene fits in, but you're right. I mean, it might not be something that actually happens. It may just be Batman's own psychosis going crazy.
I think they call me the Dream Crusher, guys. I'm gonna crush both your dreams. I think it's reality, and if you watch the earlier trailer, you see him in that desert camo fighting.
All part of the same dream.
All right,
I don't know.
But I'm just saying,
if you freeze frame it, you can see Bing Bong from inside out, way off in the corner.
I think this is the first time that Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent, Superman, that they meet each other, so to speak. It's the first reveal, and that'll lead to Batman having to armor up and maybe get some kryptonite from Luthor or something. I think this is going to be the first time that they
I like
meet.
that one even more
That's
than the
good
dream
too, but
one.
man, Superman looked, as you said yourself, Superman looked awfully pissed.
Oh, he looked really mad.
I think Bruce has done, like, whether it's kryptonite elbow to the balls or whatever, I think Bruce has done something to him already at that point, because that wasn't just the face of, hello, stranger. Let's have a conversation. Like, something bad has already happened.
Yeah.
All right, we'd be curious. Jump into the comments section and leave your theories, because there's probably nothing of any of what we said up here. So jump into the comment section and let us know your theories about what you think is going on in that Batman versus Superman clip. And let's hold on to our hats for Wednesday to come. All right, what's next?
A new report from Variety is claiming that Ex Machina and the Danish Girl star Alicia Vikander has signed on to co-star with the previously announced James McAvoy in the new film Submergence. The romance thriller will revolve around two lovers separated by thousands of miles who think back to their intense romance as they navigate life or death access situations, with her exploring the ocean floor in a submersible, and he held captive by jihadists in Somalia. John, buy or sell the sounds of Submergence with Alicia Vikander joining the project?
I sell it. Although this movie is probably going to be Oscar material, it's got incredible talent associated with it. But this sounds to me like you're watching a movie where in the movie there are two Hollywood producers really drunk and really high. And they're talking about, well, let's make an Oscar movie. What can you do? Let's have two star-crossed lovers. And one's at the bottom of the ocean and one's a terrorist prisoner. Gold! It just sounds ridiculous.
Transmergence. No, wait, submergence.
Yes. Now, look, it's probably going to be awesome. It is probably going to be absolutely awesome. But just the way the synopsis reads feels like something The Onion wrote to me for some reason, and kind of feels like way out there. So I'm sure I'll totally change my tune once I see a trailer to this thing. But for now, it's a sell. Schnepp?
Yeah, this is something that the Mighty Boosh went to go see. Submergence. Yeah, it's like it's a submergible, and then this other guy's held by a jihadist. As they think about their love in between. It's like I just
it's beautiful the way you pitched that movie.
Yeah, I guess I just sold myself on it. No, I don't know. The 2 stars though, they sell it for me.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
They could make anything amazing, which they're gonna do with Submergence. So.
Submergence.
That's a sequel. Submergent. Johnny Depp is the internet. Goes underwater. I'm gonna buy this. I mean, yes, there is echoes of the trailer you'd see at the beginning of Tropic Thunder, where it's just so ridiculously going for an Oscar. But look, McAvoy and Alicia Vikander, they've proven themselves so many times in movies where it could have an emotional pull. So yeah, I'm gonna have to buy this, even though you're right. It does sound a little ridiculous, but look, if you're a prisoner of war, I understand you looking back to this girl that you fell in love with. If you're underwater and you're like studying crap, you gotta focus on what's going on in the moment. You know,
oxygen levels are going away.
Yeah, it's like stop thinking about Victor Frankenstein. Just focus on the coral or whatever you're researching.
Mark, no one's thinking of Victor Frankenstein.
Not a lot of people are thinking of Victor Frankenstein.
Thinking about Victor. All right, folks, we reached that part of the show. Since it is Tuesday after all, it's that time for what is opening this week, brought to you by our friends at AMC Theatres. Now, this is the time of week when we look at all the movies opening up this coming week. Just one this week. So, Alicia, what are we looking forward to?
Alicia?
I'm
my
thinking Vikander.
gosh!
I'm
Krampus
thinking Vikander.
attacks again.
I am offended.
Krampus is in town.
I'm sorry, Sinead.
Touche. All right. The lone wide release film this week is the new holiday horror Krampus. While the holiday season represents the most magical time of year, ancient European folklore warns of Krampus, a horned beast who punishes naughty children at Christmas time. When dysfunctional family squabbling causes young Max to lose his festive spirit and unleashes the wrath of the fearsome demon. As Krampus lays siege to the Engel home, Mom, played by Toni Collette, Pop, played by Adam Scott, sister and brother must band together to save one another from a monstrous fate. Mark, are you looking forward this weekend to Krampus?
I am so looking forward to this, Alicia.
I can't
wait to see this.
I knew it.
I love a good horror comedy around Christmas, and the fact that it's based on this European legend that if you're good, Santa Claus is going to come bring you a lot of presents. If you're bad, it ain't a lump of coal. It's going to be some half demon, half goat thing walking all over your roof, terrorizing the crap out of you and your entire family.
Sounds like my drunk uncle.
This is exactly what a lot of us go through around the holidays. Just drunk people on the roof, leaving their pants everywhere. This is the movie I want to see this weekend.
I am very much looking forward to this. Like, here's the funny thing. About 2 years ago, I had never even heard of Krampus. And I swear, within about 1 month, 4 shows that I watch all had like Krampus episodes. Like The League, Family Guy, Grimm, and one other show like had a Krampus. And I had never even heard of it before then. This sounds great. Now, so I am looking forward to it. What my enthusiasm was tempered a little bit, though. I had been operating on the assumption that this was going to be an R-rated Krampus horror. And then just the other day, I realized, or I found out, it's actually going to be a PG-13. And with, to me, you know me, a film doesn't have to be R. PG-13 is perfectly acceptable, with some exceptions. And I kind of feel like Krampus, this kind of like holiday demon spirit coming to terrorize, that felt to me like that one should have been R. So I'm still looking forward to it. I'm going to go out and see it. But my enthusiasm just tempered a little bit by that. Schnepp, what about you? You looking forward to Krampus?
I am. It's by the same guy who made Trick or Treat. It's Michael Dougherty, and I really like Trick or Treat because it was
Trick or Treat.
Yeah, Trick or Treat. It was like a return to the creep show anthology type of a movie that I really like. Seeing a whole bunch of different tales told within the wraparound kind of guys. So. I don't think this is that. This is one solid film. It's not an anthology, but I am looking forward to it. I love the whole mythology of Krampus. Is like he's the one who like takes kids if they were bad and puts them in a satchel and steals them away. It's a very great myth, and it's really cool that it did really like hit really hard like about 4 years ago. Now here in LA, there's all these Krampus parades and parties. It's really fun if you like Krampus.
Hey, whatever happened? Kevin Smith.
Yeah,
remember he was working on a Krampus
He was going to do a Krampus movie. It was called Anti-Claus, and they changed titles.
Anti-Claus, that's
and
right.
It's an anthology film, and I'm sure he's still going to make it. But he got and he's doing Yoga Hosers and then Moose Jaws. So he's got these.
He still says he's doing Clerks 3.
Yeah, he's got a lot of things he's working on. So I'm sure it'll eventually happen.
All right, folks, we reached that part of the show now for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address in the show, just email us anytime at collidervideo@gmail.com. Now, for those of you watching us live, at the end of the show, we're going to save a little bit of time to take some of your live questions. How do you get a live question to us? Simple. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Collider Video and tweet in some questions right now. And Alicia will take some of those questions at the end of the show and we will address them. Make sure you're kissing up to her though, because she is the one in charge. But I would suggest by not calling her Alicia. That'd probably be a good start. But for now, let's get to the mailbag questions. Ashley, what do we got?
Well, Robert, first question comes from Jesus Fernandez, and they write, greetings from Mexico. Are there any updates on the Beetlejuice 2 movie that was being developed? Thank you, and keep being awesome.
Here's the thing about the Beetlejuice 2 project. I've never heard anything official except from people in the movie or directing the movie in some interviews dropping some hints. Like we heard, who's the girl who's
Winona
Spock's
Ryder.
mom?
Right.
Winona Ryder. I'll just call her Spock's mom. Spock's mom, she was like being interviewed by, it might have been Jimmy Kimmel, as a matter of fact. I think it might have been Jimmy Kimmel. And she goes, and it's just kind of in the middle of an interview about something else. I said, what about Beetlejuice 2? She goes, I don't know if I'm supposed to say anything, but I think it's happening, blah, blah. We've heard Tim Burton say he thinks it's happening. But in the midst of all that, months and months and months go by, and we still hear nothing. So at this point, I simply do not know. I think there's a number of people in this town right now who intend on making Beetlejuice 2, but something's holding it up. We don't know what it is. I don't know if there's no studio believes in it at this point. They're not being able to find somebody to put up the money for it. I don't know. I've always felt it's a little too late for another Beetlejuice, but there's a lot of you guys who don't feel that way, so maybe that disproves my point. Honestly, at this point, I have no idea if this thing is going to happen or not. Schnepp, what do you think?
I know there's a script that's done. I know Michael Keaton mentioned it like earlier this year. He's like, yeah, I think we're going to be doing Beetlejuice 2. But, it's really hard to tell until like we actually hear principal photography has started. It's up in the air. I think Tim Burton's doing Dumbo next, so...
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it always seems like it hinged on the desires of Michael Keaton and Tim Burton to return to the franchise. And Michael Keaton seems willing. He's back in movies again, which is awesome. If you haven't seen Spotlight, definitely check him out in that. Beetlejuice 2 would be a very different role. Seems like he'd be like the elder Beetlejuice. Maybe there'd be a younger demon possession kind of Beetle guys coming around. Tim Burton, does he want to do this movie? If he doesn't, is he willing to let this property be made by somebody else? I'm not sure who owns the rights to Beetlejuice. If Tim Burton can be like, no, we're never doing another Beetlejuice, or if there's a studio that's like, okay, Tim, you don't want to do it, we'll get somebody else who wants to do it. Let's give Edgar Wright a shot. Let's give somebody else who wants to do it. But me personally, I would love to see another trip to the Beetlejuice universe. I watched the movie again a couple weeks ago on a plane. It's so phenomenally done. It's one of the best horror comedies, one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
Now, here's an interesting thing. You bring up Michael Keaton. I'd be curious. You guys help us out. Jump into the chat board if you're watching live and let us know this. But Michael Keaton right now is starring in a fabulous film called Spotlight, which is going to get nominated for Best Picture. If it wins Best Picture, that means Michael Keaton will have been headlined in 2 Best Pictures in a row, Birdman and Spotlight, if that happens. When was the last time 2 Best Pictures back-to-back had either the same lead star or one of the lead stars in both films? I'd be curious to know. If you know what the answer to that is, jump in. You got an idea?
I don't think Philadelphia won Best Picture. I don't think Apollo 13 won Best Picture. So that's really tough.
I know you want to go to Tom Hanks instantly, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think Tom Hanks ever did. So let us know in the comments section if you think and you know somebody who did. All right, what's next?
Kate writes, "Hey Collider crew, I've been a fan since the 24-hour marathon. My question is regarding the subscription service MoviePass. I'm a big fan, so paying roughly $35 a month to have the opportunity to see a movie in the theater every day seemed too good to be true. I remember Jon mentioned that he signed up for it and he said he'd get back to us on what he thought. You're required to sign up for a year and there are cancellation fees if you decide to end before your contract is up, but seeing movies multiple times per week without paying for a ticket sounds pretty sweet. Is MoviePass worth it?"
Yeah, I have been using, and there's a great picture that Ray put up there for us. That's a picture of the MoviePass card right there. I signed up for MoviePass a couple of months ago, and I've been using it for a few months now. So here are my thoughts on it. Now, in LA, it's a little bit more expensive than it is in the rest of the country. I think in New York as well, it's $35 a month. I think in other places in the country, you can get it for $30. The reason I think it's a price difference is because in LA and New York, it costs more to go to the movies, so they charge you a little bit more. But if I go to see 3 movies at $14 a pop, then I am way in the black if I just go to 3 movies a month. Like, I'm way in the black if I just go to 3 movies a month. And I'm getting close to breaking even if I just go to see 2. So that's price. Now, the advantage of MoviePass is this. You get the card, you get an app, okay, on your phone, a MoviePass app that's connected to your account. And you go to a movie theater, you open up your app, and your movie theater will pop up with a listing of all the showtimes. You pick the movie you want, the showtime you want, then it says, okay, you're checked in, now just go and get your ticket. Then you go to the kiosk or something, and then you buy a ticket, and you use your MoviePass card to pay for it. So you're all covered that way. Now, you get to see 1 movie a day, and there are no restrictions. The only thing is you can't go to see an IMAX screening or a 3D screening or a special like a Prime screening. It has to be a regular 2D screening, okay? So you get to see 1 movie a day. You only get to see each movie once. So I used my card the other day to go and watch Creed. I cannot go to see Creed again with my card. I can go to see any other movie, but I can't go to see Creed again. I got to tell you, after using the card for 2 months, I like it. I've actually been enjoying it. I'm more than getting my money's worth out of it, because we're lucky. We have one of the best movie theaters in the country at the AMC Burbank 16 right here beside us. So I get to slip over and watch movies whenever I want. So it's really worth it. A couple of things I would like to see them improve on, though. Improvement number 1 I would like to see is that give MoviePass subscribers the option that if I want to go in and see a movie in Prime, that maybe it's $20 a ticket to go see it in Prime, allow me the option to buy the ticket and pay a $6 surcharge. Or if it's $3 extra to see a 3D movie, allow me the option to pay a surcharge to use my card, get the ticket, and pay the $3 extra, or pay the $5 extra to see it on IMAX, or whatever the case is. I think it just makes sense that you give us that flexibility. So that would be really cool to see. The second restriction I would like to see lifted is the ability to see a movie more than once. Now, I get it. Like, a movie like Star Wars is coming out. Fools like me would use my MoviePass card every day for 45 days to go see that movie over and over again. So I kind of understand why that's the case, but it would be nice. But really, that one thing, if they just corrected that one thing of allowing you to see a premium movie, 3D, IMAX, Prime, whatever, and allow us the option to just pay the surcharge to make up for the difference, that would take MoviePass just from getting a really good score with me, because I do enjoy the service. I'm getting my money's worth out of it. It's worth it. A lot of you should check it out. But it would take it from that to me saying this is a must-have. If it gave you that option, I would say it was a must-have. You guys have heard about MoviePass and seen me using it and stuff like that. What about it appeals to you as somebody who doesn't use the service yet, and what is it that might be holding you back from using it?
I had the chance to utilize MoviePass a couple years ago. They were an early sponsor, and now full disclosure, I didn't have to pay for it, but it worked so well. It was so easy to use. You just swipe the card, and boom, you're there. What I loved about it is that it's not like when you get a coupon to a movie theater, and it's like, well, there's blackout dates. You can't see this movie. You can't see anything new opening. You can see anything you want. That alone sells the service for me, even if you have to pay a higher premium in New York and LA. This thing is worth it. If you love seeing movies, this thing is worth it.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting it in January. But the one thing I would like to see them add is a 2-ticket thing. Like, just pay $60, but for couples, it would make sense where you don't have to each have your own individual thing and check in. You could just get both
tickets. Also have
tickets.
a level of membership where you can pay the $35, it gets you 1 ticket.
Right.
Or you can pay $60 or $65, whatever, and you get 2 tickets. That's so
Yeah.
a level of plan.
Yeah, I would
That's an
like to.
interesting
I would like
thought.
to see that because I always go see films with Holly, and it would be fun to be able to just take care of that instead of like two separate. Like now then I have to do this additional extra swipe, and now it's you. So it would just make it faster and easier and more fun. I wouldn't even care if it was, hey, it's $70. It's just double the amount. It's fine with me. It's just for the convenience.
Now, do I have to pay double if my girlfriend's fictional, or is that?
I think you have to pay quadruple.
Oh my God, well, that's embarrassing.
All right, folks. Well, listen, I said we would save a little bit of time to take some of your live Twitter questions, and we're going to do that right now. Once again, if you're watching us live, just tweet in to us. Follow us on Twitter at Collider Video. Tweet in your questions. Suck up to Ashley. Maybe you'll get your question on. So, Ashley, what have you picked out of the Twitter sphere today?
Jedi Davy 0804 writes, what Disney theme park rides would you like to see a movie adaptation of?
I think Disney park ride adaptations are a stupid idea. I remember when they first announced Pirates of the Caribbean, I went off on this like profanity-laced tirade about what a stupid idea was. Then I went to go see the first Pirates of the Caribbean, and I freaking loved it. Tomorrowland didn't work out so great, whatever. But I mean, look, it comes down to this. I say this a lot. You can make a movie about anything. I can make a movie about, Bobby, the 3/4 empty water bottle. And if I've got a great script with a great story, but instead of Rick in the script, I replace Rick with Bobby, the 3/4 empty water bottle, then you can come up with a winning movie. The same thing goes. You can take a script that already exists that has nothing to do with the theme park ride at Disney, and then just make changes to the script to adapt to that ride and still have a good movie. It's certainly possible. But because of that, I really can't think of any rides at Disneyland I would like to see turned into a movie off the top of my head. What about you, Mark?
You know what's really sad is that inside that tiny bottle of water, there's a little Alicia Vikander swimming around, dreaming about that time she hooked up with Professor X. I'd probably go with the Matterhorn, or I'd go with Space Mountain. I mean, there's just like, it's a mountain in outer space. You sold me. Let's get some stars in there. Let's conquer a mountain. What's on top of the mountain? We don't know.
You. It is now called Hyperspace Mountain.
Oh my God!
Because they Star Warsified it.
It's Hyperspace Mountain.
Yes,
actually,
it's got Star Wars theme to it.
Okay, but now if we make Hyperspace Mountain, does it have to be canon? Can we not have Plagueis in there because it's not canon yet? Like I want to see that, or the Matterhorn sounds like something that, hey, you know what? Vin Diesel wanted to make a Hannibal movie. Just combine that with the Matterhorn, and he can ride an elephant up a tall mountain.
You know what? I'm sitting here talking about, no, I can't think of it. You totally changed my mind. Matterhorn. You could make a movie on Matterhorn. You totally could. You changed my mind.
You'd
Well
have
done.
to have a Yeti or an abominable snowman at the top of at the end of the movie.
Or both.
Yeah, both them fighting. Well, I think you nailed it as to why. I mean, they're reverse engineering all the rides now. So now all the rides are based off of movies and franchises, as opposed to just coming up with a really cool idea and then making a movie out of that later. Now they're like, hey, make this Cars, make that Star Wars. So now there is no Space Mountain. It's Hyperspace Mountain. To me, it's a kind of a bummer because I just like Space Mountain. I haven't been on Hyperspace Mountain yet. Maybe it's amazing.
I have heard you will love Hyperspace
Maybe
Mountain.
it's incredible. As long as you go into hyperspace and you're in that weird blue tunnel, then I'm sold. But I don't know. I think they've reverse engineered it so the creativity is not there anymore. The creativity is all in the movies, and then they're reverse engineering it and slapping rides around whatever they're trying to sell at the movie theater or whatever toys they're making. So I don't know. I don't think you're going to see that many more adaptations coming out. Like you said, Tomorrowland didn't work. Pirates of the Caribbean did work. What's
for
left?
a while.
If we could step out of Disney, though, there was a great theme park in Williamsburg, Virginia, where I'm from, called Busch Gardens. They had the Loch Ness Monster was a roller coaster. I want to see that movie. The Big Bad Wolf. I want to see that. Alpengeist, Dragonfire. There's a lot of great rides at Busch Gardens.
Going to his point, those are rides that are already based on pre-existing IP.
What? Alpengeist?
Well, maybe not Alpengeist, but what about this? Here's another one. Make a movie based. This will be a hit. Make a movie based on Haunted Mansion.
Yes.
Oh wait.
No.
Sorry, that was already done, wasn't it? Okay.
Well, I think that a horror movie could really work in like a theme park setting. Like, you hear about all those like theme parks that are haunted and stuff. How awesome would that be to see like a horror movie that takes place in a theme park?
What theme parks are you going to?
Okay, even in Disneyland, okay? I talked about this in Mailbag once. We start out in the teacups, okay?
Right.
And then suddenly the park shuts down. I guess you'd have to be there after closing because you're the only person left there. You work there. You work there. You worked there, and you were going on the ride, and you weren't supposed to.
Oh wait, you're talking about Rob Zombie's new movie 31. That's the.
Oh really?
Basically, it's a bunch of carnies that get kidnapped.
I think you're onto something.
I'm onto something.
I think you're onto something.
All
that
right.
could actually
It sounds like
cool.
Five Nights at Freddy's. We could call it One Night at Waltz.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm just putting a bunch of movies together and pretending that I'm making them up.
And then you get a DeLorean. Okay.
And then you destroy the DeLorean in front of everyone, and they cry.
All right, what's next?
All right, Miguel Sanchez Nunez writes, "Greetings from my college basement. After seeing Creed,
There's
do
a horror
you
movie.
feel
That's
like we will get a new trilogy?"
Yeah, I mean, I do. You totally set it up to continue this story on. They ended off really at the first step of the new thing. And, it's hard to really talk about it without giving spoilers away, but we won't. Creed is fantastic, and the movie ends in such a way that you want to come back tomorrow to see the next chapter, to see what comes next. And there's a lot of different directions that they can go. It will all depend on ultimately how successful the film is, but it's off to a great start. Came in third place in its opening weekend, made $30 million just on the Friday to Sunday traditional weekend. I think it made like $44 million on the wider Thanksgiving Day weekend. So it's off to a good start. If it has some legs, you can bet within the next 3 weeks you're going to hear that the studio has greenlit the sequel and they'll move forward with it. What do you think?
You're going to tell me Yvonne Drago didn't reproduce? I mean, are you going to tell me that Clubber Lang never had relations with a woman?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? There's a lot of offspring that you could put in the Rocky universe now, in the Creed universe, that I would pay to see.
I pity the fool who doesn't put my son in the next movie. I pity the fool.
I'm coming from the college basement dorm. Please answer my question about Creed.
That's how I would have read it. But
All right, what's next?
Gabriel Bailey writes, "Who do you think would make a good biopic, living or dead? My pick is Phil Knight from Nike."
I've said this a long time. I want to see a biopic on the life of Jim Henson. I really do.
Definitely.
It's not just because he's the creator of this and this. When you look into his life story, there's drama in his story that I think would make a fabulous motion picture. And not to mention, who doesn't love the Muppets? So, or watch Sesame Street going up or whatever. The things, and Dark Crystal, all the things that he had his hands in, I just think it's just too rich of a thing to tell. I don't know what's holding it up, honestly, because it wouldn't be a $100 million movie,
Right.
but this is a movie that could get made, would have some interest, could make some money. I want to see Jim Henson.
that's a great call. I would say Carl Sagan. I would love to see a biopic on him, as well as Einstein. Those two guys, amazing guys.
There's a pretty good, it's not a biopic, but there's a movie about Steve Prefontaine. It's either called Prefontaine or Without Limits. I can't remember which one it is, but there's a lot of Phil Knight in there, played by Donald Sutherland. Really good movie. Check it out. I would say Robert Johnson, the legendary blues guitarist who wrote Crossroads, and there was some legend that he sold his soul to the devil so he could be really good at guitar. I want to see that.
All right, what's next?
Sean Lallen writes, "Any news on the Jumanji remake?"
It was just not long ago that we first heard the rumblings on it, so now give it a few more months before we really hear anything substantive.
All right, Jonathan Graves writes, "What Christmas movie should be remade, if any? Home Alone?"
That's a tough one. Look, lots of Christmas movies get remakes. Miracle on 54th has been remade a number of
34th,
times.
yeah.
34th, sorry, I'm not from New York.
54th was Easter.
Yeah. Holly's grandpa was in the original Miracle on 34th Street.
That's
He was
right.
the lawyer, John Payne.
It's amazing.
A lot of the classics have already been done. How many times has A Christmas Carol been done? Maybe remake the Christmas Story. Maybe you could do that, but I wouldn't, look, I'm all for remakes and everything, but I wouldn't be lining up to see a remake of that.
Yeah, you got to look at the Christmas movies that you cannot touch, which I think A Christmas Story probably falls in there somewhere. The one that I would like to see is just another version of A Christmas Carol. We've gotten so many great ones that remaking it and doing another one doesn't hurt the lineage at all. Like, you have the classic, really old one. You have the one with George C. Scott, the one with Patrick Stewart that was on TNT, the one with Jim Carrey, the one with the Muppets. I'd like to see just another one.
Scrooged, which was
Scrooge with Bill Murray is one of my
version.
favorite
The
movies ever.
Muppets, it's been done so many times that, so I can't really think of any off the top of my head.
There's so many amazing new ones. Go see The Night Before. I know you guys. It's still out. It's a great brand new Christmas movie. I think you're missing out. You're going to be talking about it in 3 years once it's out on DVD and everybody's watching it. Like, it's a brand new Christmas movie. But see it now.
What if I threw this one at you? Gremlins. Could you remake Gremlins today?
Die Hard.
A great Christmas movie.
Right.
I just wanted to get you mad.
We are not touching Die Hard.
They are
Bruce, don't listen to it.
No, they are doing Gremlins. It was announced this week. They're definitely redoing it.
Are you teasing me?
No,
right now?
they
Really?
didn't.
Yeah. This week.
How did all of us miss that?
I don't know, but I read it
Because
this
they
week.
announced they're doing like 1,000. I'd be curious to know where you read it.
Is Holly's grandpa in this movie too?
No, Chris Columbus, the guy who was originally wrote him.
Yeah.
He announced it this week.
Oh, that's a great great idea. Because I love the original Gremlins. It holds up today. There's nothing wrong with it, but I just think another reimagining. It came out in 1984. The second one, Gremlins: The New Batch, is a great kind of satire sequel. But I think I'd be up for another version of it, as long as I'd like to see some still like classic creature effects. I don't want to see just a bunch of CGI Gremlins running around. I'd like to see some puppets again. That'd be neat.
Well, what Columbus basically said, he said, yeah, it's not a reboot. They're going to keep the mythology, but like move forward.
Where's Zach Galligan?
Okay,
He could be the dad.
Here's the thing. He did talk about it, but no studio's greenlit it yet. He's going to say it's not going to be rebooted because remember, they've been talking about this Gremlins film for like 3 years now. It will not be a remake in any way, shape, or form. Chris Columbus has come out and said that for the first time it is very near and dear to his heart. So as long as he is alive, it will never be remade. So the only thing that they will be, and apparently are going to be, is doing something along the lines of like Jurassic World, where it would be like 30 years later. So it sounds like it's still in its conceptual stage.
Right.
It's not. It hasn't been announced yet.
Right. It's like they're not like the principal photography on Gremlins, the new batch.
The newer batch.
Yeah, the newer batch. But reading that from Chris Columbus was like, that was just this week. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
I say greenlight that movie instantly. Who can stop the Gremlins? You guessed it. Tupac Shakur.
And Godzilla.
And Godzuki. All right, 2 more.
All right, Film and Water podcast writes, is there a movie you'll only watch on the big screen? For instance, I can't bring myself to watch Lawrence of Arabia at home.
Well, then you'll never see it. Honestly, look, there's tons of movies that you're robbing yourself if you don't see it on the big screen. But I mean, it's certainly not to the point where it'd be like it's so tailored to the big screen you just can't watch it on the small screen. So like, a movie will come out and I'll say, look, go see it while it's on the big screen because you're going to get your fullest appreciation for it there. But if time went and you miss it and you didn't know about it, I would still definitely say, yeah, grab it, man. Watch it at home if you can. But can you think of one?
You know what? To be honest, nothing takes away from the movie-going experience, especially when films like Interstellar was shot in like, I think it was 65 millimeter. It's like certain films were made to be experienced in a movie theater. And you're right. You should see Lawrence of Arabia on the biggest screen possible. I mean,
cinematography in that movie, man.
The Wizard of Oz, I went and saw it on IMAX last year. It was incredible. It transformed the entire filmmaking experience for me because I grew up seeing it as a little kid on TV, and then to see it actually on the big screen is a completely different experience. Every single film that you can go see in a movie theater at the revival houses, go see Alien, go see Blade Runner, go see Conan the Barbarian on the big screen. It changes everything. Your entire perspective of how the film feels when you see it changes when you're in a giant theater watching it. That's the way to see these movies.
I'd say the biggest drop-off for me was Peter Jackson's King Kong. I saw it in a theater, and I loved it. I was like, oh, man, this is amazing. Then you see it on TV, and it just does not resonate the same way because the effects usually don't look as good. And the other movie I'd say is you're never going to get me to watch Revenge of the Sith on anything but the big screen.
What? Way to cover your butt there. To go to your point and support what you're saying about how when you go and see them on big screen, even a movie that you would not think of it needing to be a big screen thing. A couple of years, I went to a screening with Dustin Hoffman of Tootsie. And even then, watching it on the big screen, it was like a totally different thing. It was just such a different kind of experience. You're right. You're absolutely right. There is
2001, A Space Odyssey. You have to see that in an immersive environment because half of that movie is just sound design and visual effects. And if you're in your house and your cat jumps up on you, or the phone rings, or you're checking a text, it's ruining the entire experience. You have to be immersed in the film.
Yeah, I mean, if I met somebody who hasn't seen 2001: Space Odyssey and it's not playing on a big screen everywhere, and they say, "Should I watch it?" I'll still say yes, you should watch it. But if you have the option of TV or the big screen, always take big screen. Always take big screen. All right, last question of the day.
Max Galaxy writes, what are the best ways to network in the entertainment industry? Where would one go and should we meet?
Yeah, well, there's the old adage, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know, that sort of thing, and that's really only half right. How to network in this town, I don't know. I'm a social buffoon. I'm not good in social situations, and I generally don't like people. So I'm not really the person to talk. All the networking I've done has just kind of happened by accident over the years and years and years and years. So if somebody were to come to me and say, hey, I'm new in LA, where do I go to network? I don't know. Schnepp, you're a lot better at stuff like that. You know a lot of people, things like that. What would you suggest to somebody coming to town? It's like the best way to network with new circles that way?
I would definitely never approach someone by saying, I'm trying to meet new people and I'm trying to network. That's a red flag for everyone.
Bodies in my basement.
Yeah, I'm in a college basement writing strange messages about Creed. You're gonna get knocked off that way, you know. It's like so networking is you just have to be willing to go to your your local coffee house, go to a couple of different play cafes, different places where you can hang out, and then just get the lay of the land of where you live, and you start to don't be afraid to walk up to people and say, hey, I'm new here. Do you know a cool movie theater, or where's a good bookshop? Or just start talking to people. And that's really without being creepy. So that's the other, don't be weird and creepy about it. Just be honestly, that's kind of the way to do it, I think, is hanging out at social situations, coffee houses. If you have friends, go out with your friends who already live in the place, if you're new to somewhere. So if you're in LA specifically, it's a hard town to crack, especially if you're trying to get into the business, because most everybody who's here is trying to get into the business. Everybody's a writer, everybody's an actor, everybody's a director. That's just how it is. So you're going to just have to take those knocks. You're going to have to go to those auditions. You're going to have to put your time in. And that's really the key to any of this kind of stuff is less networking and more perseverance, and not just giving up, throwing in the towel after a year or 2 years. That's what most everybody does who leaves LA and is bitter about their experience, is because they gave up. You can't give up. You have to persevere, and eventually you'll meet other people who stuck around and persevered, and they're working in the zone that you want to work in. They might be in theater, they might be in comedy, they might be in music or television or movies, but you'll find those people. It just takes a while.
Yes,
Mark, as the recipient of a record 8 restraining orders.
Thank you.
What is your trick to social networking?
I'm phenomenal in social situations. My trick would obviously use social media to your advantage, because regardless of what town or city you live in, you don't have to be in Hollywood when you start working in film or TV production. There's always stuff that's going on in every major city that you can have access to and maybe apply for a job or an internship. At some point, you are going to have to suck it up and move somewhere where they make movies. It doesn't necessarily have to be Los Angeles. They make a lot of movies in Atlanta now, a lot of cool comic book movies. Go up to Vancouver. There's a lot of places where you can go and try to make a living, but you are going to have to suck it up and start at the bottom. I mean, if you want to be a comic, you start out doing hundreds and hundreds of open mics. If you want to work at a Burger King, you can't stay across the street. You got to walk into Burger King and apply for a job. Same way with movies. You need to be somewhere where they are making them, but it doesn't necessarily have to start out in Hollywood.
All right, folks, that will do it for us for this installment of Collider Movie Talk. Thank you so much for joining us today. Listen, don't forget, lots of great films playing out at our friends over at AMC Theatres. Head on over to www.amctheatres.com for all of your theater, showtime, and, of course, your movie ticket information. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you bookmark Collider.com, the site that keeps you up to date by the minute on everything going on in the world of film and television. Once again, make sure you bookmark Collider.com. I want to thank the guys sitting at the table with me. First of all, sitting to my left, Mr. Jon Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, just at Jon Schnepp, and you can get my film, The Death of Superman Lives What Happened, by going to www.tdoslwh.com. Get that digital super pack with over 8 hours of sweaty goodness. Support an independent film.
Over here on my right, the holder of a record 8 restraining orders and 1 iTunes comedy special, Mr. Mark Ellis. Mark, where can people find you online?
Thank you very much. 3 of those restraining orders were in Arkansas. I love your state. Little Rock is great. I spent a lot of time there. You guys kick ass. You can find me online at Twitter, Instagram, 5150 Ellis. Tonight I'm at the Comedy Store at 9 p.m.
And, of course, our lovely host today, Miss Alicia McBoo. Alicia, where can people find you online?
Alicia McBoo, I love it. On Twitter and on Instagram, at Alicia McBoo. See you there, guys.
And, of course, you can just follow me online on Facebook or on Twitter, just at Jon Campea. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for joining us for Collider Video, and until next time, boo.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.